Welcome to the Paper Pursuer. Be going over the show notes today for episode 1183, They Sold You Out. We're going to start off with a relatively short one from Dan Bongino show. It's called Dershowitz. Obama personally asked FBI to investigate someone on behalf of George Soros by Team Bongino, February 17, 2020. Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz made a shocking claim yesterday, telling Breitbart News that President Obama personally asked the FBI to investigate an unnamed individual on behalf of leftist billionaire George Soros. While discussing the influence the White House has historically had over the Department of Justice, Dershowitz said, "I have some information as well about the Obama administration, which will be disclosed in a lawsuit at some point, about how President Obama personally asked the FBI to investigate somebody on behalf of George Soros, who was a close ally of his." Host Joel Pollack clarified with Dershowitz, asking him, "You said that George Soros asked Barack Obama to have his Justice Department investigate somebody?" Dershowitz replied, "That's going to come out in a lawsuit in the near future, yeah." He insisted it is a common occurrence between presidents and the Justice Department. That's not unusual. That is not unusual. People whisper to presidents all the time. Presidents whisper to the Justice Department all the time. It's very common. It's wrong, whoever does it, but it's common, and we shouldn't think that it's unique to any particular president. I have in my possession the actual 302 form, an FBI record of an interview, which documents this issue, and it will, at the right time, come out. But I'm not free to discuss it now because it's a case that's not yet been filed," he continued. The Obama White House wasn't the only place where Soros seemed to have an influence. Emails released from the State Department reveal the Hungarian billionaire also appeared to have access to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Of course. In an email to Clinton, longtime friend Neera Tanden wrote that she recently had dinner with Soros, where he expressed he was impressed with his access to the then Secretary of State. "I told him, I worked for you in the primaries, and he said he's been impressed that he can always meet with you on an issue of policy," Tanden wrote. Well, that's the end of the article. I'm going to tell you that's just jacked up. Not a surprise though, right? All right, so I'm going to move on to the next article. Moving kind of quickly here. It's on TownHall. It's an opinion piece. Bloomberg's biggest problem is Bloomberg, by Derek Hunter, posted February 18th, 2020. "Let me start by saying I have no idea what anyone would find appealing about former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Then again, I'm not a left-wing Democrat desperate to beat Donald Trump, so maybe in that state of panic, a dwarfish, socially distant, robotic, aloof, monotone billionaire seems like a good choice. Any port in a storm, after all. And that seems to be the appeal. The billionaire part, I mean. Short of someone who can cover the cost of a presidential campaign with the change in the couch cushions, sounds appealing to voters who've been inundated with dozens of emails daily from millionaires begging them for money to finance their vanity projects. What is the appeal of Bloomberg? Being one of the richest people on the planet is a mentally perverting existence. Who tells someone worth more than most countries' GDPs no? Anyone? Is there anyone who tells Mike Bloomberg he's wrong? More directly, anyone who tells him he's wrong, who he'd listen to, not dismiss out of hand or fire? I've met a couple of billionaires in my life, and they, and the poor rich people I've met who only have hundreds or tens of millions of dollars, all have one thing in common. They're weird. When you're that rich, being weird is called eccentric and played off as charming by sycophants and yes-men. Their lives are overrun with people who follow them around, attempting to anticipate their every desire and fill it, while hoping a wad of cash falls out of their pockets or they somehow make it into the will. Being surrounded by people who they make the lifetime earnings off of with a 3-point uptick in the stock market means no one is your equal and no one matters naturally. To make other matter to people like this, they have to actively seek out their input or their company. In the case of the rich, that generally means their services. That's where President Donald Trump diverges from Michael Bloomberg, their abilities to value others. The nature of Trump's businesses requires interaction with people he'd never run into at a dinner or on the golf course. He was dependent upon blue-collar workers to build and maintain his properties. High school graduates, even dropouts, can run a job site and build a building. An aloof jackass wafting in to bark out orders to the foreman before hopping back into their limo to drive to the club can't fake being able to relate to anyone. And Trump has the innate ability to relate to people. I met the president once, before he was president, but after he had announced his candidacy at a GOP dinner in Maryland. Before he entered the VIP room, advanced staffers came in and told everyone in the line to meet him that there would be no conversation, just a grip and grin photo. "Do not try to start a conversation," they barked. I didn't want a picture. I had 2 books of his I wanted signed. I didn't know if that was going to be possible after hearing the rules. Then Trump entered, and the rules were gone. Donald Trump was talkative, engaging with everyone. Those who barked the orders couldn't do anything to stop him. Big smiles, handshakes, and questions flew from Trump for each person. No one was hurried, no one was hushed, and most importantly, I got my book signed. This wasn't a room full of rich people. These were average Maryland Republicans attending an annual dinner. Yet every single one of them had their moment where Donald Trump heard them at least giving them the impression he was interested in their thoughts, their story, their existence. Can you imagine Mike Bloomberg doing that? It's unlikely Bloomberg has ever had a real conversation with a backhoe operator, let alone operated one himself. Trump has, on both counts. That's what separates the two, relatability. It's also what Democrats can't understand about the president. Neither one of these men should be relatable to normal people. Normal people don't walk into anywhere with the knowledge they can comfortably buy anything there, even the building. Normal people search for sale items at the grocery store. But Trump at least comes off as if he gets it. He's never lived it, but he gets it, likely because he's seen it up close from his employees. Bloomberg is a media mogul. He doesn't hire people who need to shower after a day of work. He hires people who shower to go to work. When video surfaced this week of Bloomberg belittling farmers and factory workers, saying computer programmers, unlike those dirty job workers, need to have gray matter between their ears, I realized the latest savior for Democrats was going to be another bust. Mike's history of misogyny and casual racism aside, the ignorance about people who do those important jobs on display in that video showed me all I needed to see about whether or not anyone could relate to him, and more importantly, whether he could relate to anyone. He can't. Bloomberg likes to taunt Trump about how he's much wealthier than the president is, but his wallet is all he has going for him. That wallet, coupled with desperation in perhaps the weakest field ever cobbled together by a political party, may be enough to secure him the nomination. He has proven he can buy support, not that he can inspire it. But there's little chance that, after the public really starts to pay attention, it will inspire many votes. Even though Michael Bloomberg is very short, there aren't many Americans who want to spend 4 years looking up the nostrils of a president who looks down their nose at them. Yeah, nothing like buying election and inundating us with those commercials. Oh my gosh, I know. Everyone's complaining about it, and I'm just jumping on the bandwagon. All right, let's see. I'm probably going to end the video here because the next couple of articles are a bit longer. See you at the next one. Thanks.